it's my version of an apology to President Hamid Karzai on behalf of America, and I made it for America after I was very frustrated with the response to the violence after it was reported some Korans were burned in Afghanistan, and it has over 1.4 million hits on it. Do you think that the CBS picked it up? It's got 1.3 million hits. There's a little boy on there who's got 500,000 hits. He's, you know, coming home from the dentist, and he was drugged up. That's been on the national news. Is my video on the national news? No.
I'm really curious to hear your perspective. You were talking about how you got kicked out of the DNC.
Yeah, I actually didn't get kicked out of the DNC. I got kicked out of MSNBC studios at the DNC. And I think it's important to note that those studios were outside of the convention walls, so they were open air and anyone could go. And I went down there with my sign, Black conservative voting for Romney. I just thought I thought it might spark some discussion and I could get some maybe good footage of that. What I didn't count on was that at the network that represents tolerance and sticking up for those oppressed minorities all over the country actually kicked me out with my sign that said, I'm Black conservative and voting for Romney. I was the only Black person there with a group of white friends, and I was the one that was kicked out. Was there an apology from Chris Matthews, from Rachel Maddow? Did anyone talk about the racist implications of that? No, but you using the term basketball, now that's racist, because we all know Black people play basketball.
Did they say why they asked you to leave?
Well, it was several different reasons. The first reason was that there were no signs allowed on the premises. So when I responded that I would put the sign away, they said, no, you still have to leave. So I said, well, I'll tear the sign in pieces. No, you still have to leave. So when I disputed that, they said, well, your friend has a camera. Well, everybody here has a camera. It's MSNBC studios. There's tourists here. They said, I'm sorry, you have to leave. And we said, well, can we come back later? No, you're banned for life. They told us we were not allowed to come back there for the rest of the convention. What I dispute, and this is my real problem with the mainstream media, is that they hold themselves up as the pillars of right and wrong, as the pillars of tolerance. They want to come out and tell us that as conservatives, we're not allowed to use words like Chicago or PGA when referring to Obama because they're racist. They find racism in the most ridiculous, nuanced of situations. And yet, when Black conservatives like me come forward with our views and we say, look, we're not towing the party line. We've got our own thoughts. We've got our own views. They call us porch monkeys, house N-words. They call us sellouts. They say the worst things. And never once does a guy like Chris Matthews, Ed Schultz, Rachel Maddow, she's not a guy, she's a girl. Not once do any of those people step up for people like me, for people like Alfonso Rachel, you know, and that is not tolerance. For years, the mainstream media and the liberal left have used minority communities to carry the water, so to speak. So if they want higher taxes, they trot out minorities, women, single moms, you know, any kind of minority group. They trot us out. They parade us around. Look at these poor people. You know, we need higher taxes. And then they put us back in their little boxes that they've made up for us, and they go back to their business. When people like me come out and say, look, we're not willing to be used anymore. I have my own thoughts. I have my own opinions. I see things in a different light. You see, we don't fit that narrative, and we ruin it for them, you know? We ruin the party for them because then they can't come out and say, look, we're the ones fighting for minorities every 4 years when they pay attention to us. They can't come out and say that because there are those of us who are out there who are saying, well, no, actually, we don't all think the same. We actually do think you're wrong. It doesn't fit the narrative. It destroys the world that they've built up for themselves, the box that they've built up for themselves, and nobody likes to have their world destroyed, you know?